The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Get the one that's an Underdog match. It's Underdog Fantasy with the promo code MLB SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Monday morning, July 7th, around 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Rose up to Scott Rochelle, once again joined by Adam Rose. We're together and break down the props here for Monday. Adam, how's it going with you? How was your holiday weekend?
It was good. I felt like we had done a show between then now and then, but we haven't. It was good. Took kids to New Hampshire. Oh yeah, that's right. We did that midnight show. Yeah. I got off a plane, then we did that. No, it's fine. It was good. We went to New Hampshire, and my daughter was like terrified of fireworks, and I'm like, get over it.
So what's the update on New Hampshire? Is it still new?
No, it's pretty old. It's pretty old. Look, a lot of New Hampshire does not have a new way of thinking. They have a screw you way of thinking, or they have the old way of thinking. So
sounds like New York in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go.
But it's like the Bronx, except it's like only white people.
Okay, well, there you go. So if you want to see only white people, apparently go to New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. Anyway, a point is back here to break down a new week of baseball. Of course, we did the baseball episode 3 times a week for props. I did the show breaking on the Monday games yesterday with Dylan, but either way, we're back here for the props. Interesting card today, 10 games. The weather's not fully summer weather, so you might see a little bit less runs than expected, but it should be a pretty fun card nonetheless. Before we get into any of the actual props that we have for the show, a reminder that you can find all of the picks and podcasts for SGPN on the Spotify and Apple Podcast feeds. Check out the SGPN feed and also check out the SGPN app. Free to download, and we have all the picks and podcasts on there too. So get it wherever you do. Get your podcast and or the App Store. Do want to ask you, by the way, because I know that I saw something. This is actually kind of on the cuff here. I saw you make a post about it, and I wanted to talk to you about it. The Scooble MVP argument.
Yep.
I want to hear an argument.
Argument is his metrics are better than when Verlander won MVP. And the big thing for me on why I do think it's a live long shot and why I don't think that there's anybody else batting wise who's going to be able to take it from Judge. But Judge has actually, during the Yankees spiral, has disappeared for the most part on power. Yeah. Cal Raleigh surpassed him on home runs. By the way, Cal Raleigh's not winning MVP. So burn your money, but he's not winning MVP. And then the argument I would give for Scubal is that the Tigers have never spiraled. They've had ugly baseball. They've had meh playing, but they haven't spiraled. And what's happened to every single one of his starts is that he stops the spiral from happening.
He's a slump buster.
He's a slump buster. He's a slump buster for the team, and he gets them all excited again. They're also a billion games in the division, which I get it. Tough. It's not as tough of a division.
Besides division, you got the one seed potentially.
You play who you play, exactly. But they've beaten arguably everybody except for like the opening series against the Cubs. So I do think that if you also base it based on when Verlander and Kershaw both did this. Kershaw was a lunatic that year. I mean, I think you said this on the pod last night. You said
it's one of the best seasons of all time.
I would completely agree. Prime Kershaw was incredible. But I do think that there is something to be said because good teams win awards. You could argue that AJ Hinch might get manager of the year. Sure. But the reality is that I don't know if you could really argue if there's a player that's been more important to his team and his team's success, especially if they get the 1 seed, than Scubal. Especially watching him the last month and a half where it's very clear that he like kind of toys with the other team.
He's basically been like prime Pedro for about 2.5 months.
Yeah, he's super cerebral. He didn't have Ks for like 3 weeks and people thought the sky was falling. Everything was calculated. He did it on purpose. I think he has 2 Maddoxes this year.
Yeah.
So I would say that has value up to.
It was 100 to 1. So once again, it's a good price.
180 to 1 last week.
Yeah.
100 to 1, I would take it. Even 75 to 1, I would take it. I would take it lower than that. But in terms of batters, look, Judge I still think is the best hitter in the game, and his on base percentage kind of proves that because he's not just a home run hitter. The big difference between the two is that we've now watched this. There's watched this for 2 years. Is that he's not able to break the Yankees out of a June spiral in 2 straight years, which you could argue is an Aaron Boone thing, but it's certainly something that reflects on well, what's going on with the best player on this team in this
They
team?
also might not be a first place team if you think Toronto.
First place team. And it's pretty hard to say if the Tigers have the number 1 seed and everything, you're not going to give them any awards other than Cy Young. I mean, he's scoop ball. It's hard to squint and see what an MVP looks like as a pitcher, but go look at what Verlander did. And then now look at this, and it's pretty identical.
Yeah, I think the price once again is the selling point for me at about 100 to 1. I see Benedict saying it's down to 80 to 1 in some spots.
Yeah.
Once again, the problem with Raleigh, by the way, even if you think he has no chance of winning or you think he has a slight chance, if it was 30 to 1, sure. Like if you want to throw a flyer out there, but it's single digits. Like I feel like the main argument here is that Scooball is drastically mispriced because right now it's arguably a 2-horse race, even though we think Raleigh's got no chance. It should be 3 because Scooball should be somewhere in there too.
If there was a no market, I would flood it for Cal Raleigh.
Scooball,
so if you're the argument for Cal Raleigh is effectively the same argument that Kyle Schwarber should be MVP. Ball go boom. Ball go boom, and that's ball go boom, by the way, on a second place team that can't score even when he is in the lineup.
Yeah, but the point is for Scooball, if you think even if he finishes in 3rd place in the MVP, 100 to 1 is still crazy.
100 to 1 is a great shot. I think that Scoop. I think it is hard to see a world with the season that the Tigers are having
where they don't give him an actual
where he's not a finalist.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So I don't mind 100 to 1 for that one as well. Anyway, time to get into the actual props for the show. Adam, I'll let you go first as always. What's going to be your first prop for the Monday card?
So the first thing I just want to talk about, show sponsor, cool org, cool app. Let's talk about Rhythm for a second. So we've been hitting on Rhythm Power Trends like crazy. Power Trends is Rhythm's best of the best. It basically looks at what a price is, looks at a probability, and says when these situations happen, plays like this hit at X number of rate. It's usually like a 90% probability. MLB Power Trends are 254 and 147, which means they have a 63% win rate, and the ROI is 5%. In their unders, in just unders, the ROI is 7%, and they have a 66% win rate. That being said, there's a power trend that I like that I'm giving as my first play. A little juicy, but again, the ROI is there when you're consistently playing these. Austin Hayes under 1.5 total bases, mine 135. Going against the junk man on Miami, former Yankees prospect. I always like to point that out.
Actually, I don't even remember being on the Yankees team.
I think it might have been before you were born. I don't know. Here's my big thing though on why I'm fading Austin Hayes. Austin Hayes wasn't hitting up until when he hit that home run, which was the only hit that he had against Wheeler. He's been absolutely terrible and brutal just against righties lately. 138 batting average is handy grass data. Last 30 plate appearances, 138 batting average, 143 BABIP. No walks, a huge K rate, chase rate. I love fading guys the day after they hit a home run when I think that they are fringe players. This is one of those cases. So give me under 1.5 on Austin Hayes. If you look at just overall, he had a big weekend series against the Phillies, but prior to that series, he effectively disappeared. And if you look at his last 5 games against righties, up until yesterday, he had no bases against San Diego, no bases against San Diego, no bases against Boston. I think he stinks. So let's go with Austin Hayes under 1.5 total bases minus 135. A Rhythm power trend.
Yeah, I'm cool with that too. Junk was a guy who I didn't think was that good when he was a long reliever. Then he randomly became a starter and he was actually pretty decent. So, man, maybe figure something out. But I think it could be a good spot for Hayes to maybe even get a hit and still go under this actual prop. For my first prop, though, I'm going to go with a batter that I'm going to fade as well. I'm going to go to the Diamondbacks and Padres game. Give me Jackson Merrill under 1.5 bases at minus 125. I faded him before on the show. It worked out. I'll go back to it. He's been quite bad for about a month, and I feel like people haven't noticed how bad he's actually been. He's had less than 2 bases in 7 straight. He's also had less than 2 bases in 13 of his last 16 games. Now, Gallen is pitching, who's been quite underwhelming this season. He had a great start last time out, so maybe he figured something out. Who knows? But he's 1 for 3 lifetime against Gallen with 2 Ks, so historically not been great against Gallen. But simply put, you're looking at a batter at 125 who has been a mess at the plate. No other way around it for Merrill, and I think that Gallen can do some damage against him as well. Gallen still has good stuff. You just can't really piece stuff together. It's kind of similar to the Dylan Cease conundrum that you have right now with San Diego. the stuff is there. It just hasn't worked out. But I do think Merrill has been overvalued all season, especially the last couple of weeks and months. I'll go with Merrill once again for a fade. Give me Jackson Merrill under 1.5 bases at -125. That's my first prop.
Porter coming in looking for what you want, Cabrian Hayes for the Phillies.
His single's been really good for Cabrian Hayes.
Yeah,
if you want to go for prop,
I don't want any Pirates.
It's a good third base.
The guy, look, I agree with you on Merrill. By the way, I think the Padres are going to end up with Duran.
Okay.
I think they are. But Merrill's probably still hurt. He's got a massive sophomore slump. He does not look good. To Porter's point, I think that the Philly, I can tell you, everyone knows who I think the Phillies should trade, but I think
the argument would be, though, if you end up getting Hayes, that would make your boy more expendable, which I think
I would imagine that's the flip, but it doesn't make sense for either.
Do you think that Hayes is better than Bohm? I know fielding wise, definitely. I know he doesn't have much pop.
Sure, but I don't know why. I don't think it matters. Like Hayes has better prospect ceiling. The guys who they should trade is Ranger Suarez, and that's the conversation nobody wants to have. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. He is absolutely probably not going to be on the Phillies. And if you had to if you are in an October playoff 3 series format and 3 pitcher format, I don't know if he's starting. So,
anyway. Brandon. Okay, so Porter meant Austin.
He wants Austin. Oh, he's making a joke because last year they got Austin Hayes and he got a kidney. He had a kidney issue and then he just never played. Yeah, I agree. That's Dombrowski being a former O's guy. Anyway, point is, love your Merrill play.
Yeah. So there you go. Moving on to the second props that we have, Adam. What's going to be your second player prop for the show?
I hit my hand on my watch and it hurts. Okay, so all right, I'm going to save my favorite for last, but. My second prop is a Philly, and it's Christopher Sanchez under 5.5 hits allowed at -129. I found that on Caesars, -130, whatever it is. So Christopher Sanchez, very good at baseball. Christopher Sanchez also flew ahead of the team yesterday. Pitchers who start the next day generally fly ahead. Let me just go his 3 last starts. Excuse me. On road, 1.71 ERA, 1.22 FIP. Chase rate of 30.9. We should do his Ks in our underdog. No walks, a 13% swinging strike rate. This dude's an animal. 79% left on base. He's absolutely awesome. And so I love this. And as I look at what the let me pull it up. Sorry, this morning was crazy. If I'm looking at this is a hits allowed. So both of his meetings in San Francisco. He had under 5.5 hits allowed on the road this season. He has been under it in 3 of his last 5, including the last 2. And if you look at lefties against the Giants haven't been able to go against a bunch of lefties. 29% hit rate on the under on opposing starters hits against. So the last left-handed starter to go over his hits allowed against the Giants looks like it was JP Sears in May.
Yeah. JP Sears not very good so far this season. So there you go.
I mean, that's it. So, and then before that, our guy Boyd, who sold us yesterday.
What a shame.
Yeah, what a shame. We were very, very close. Good effort from us. All right. Anyway. Yeah. Sanchez under whatever he's killing it on the road. So
that was -130, right?
Yeah, -130. He's only again this season on the road only over this 3 times, including his first start of the season. I believe this game is a night game too. Yeah, at night he's only gone over this once the entire season, and it was against the A's. I don't know why they didn't play them then, but anyway, that's fine. So yeah, I don't know why didn't the Phillies play the A's that time. Anyway, it's also just generally, I mean, Giants played a local late game, came back from Sacramento. I don't know. I don't think it's a good spot for anybody.
They're also really bad against lefties, which I looked up.
They're really bad against lefties. This is not a fun Giants team.
I think they are the 6th lowest OPS against lefties in the entire league. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they're pretty.
I think they're 26th in OPS against lefties, so they're not good against lefties at all.
I'm looking at their lineup on Handigraphs, and it's just all blue against the last 30 playing appearances against lefties. Like Jung-Hoo has an average of 160 against his last 30 plate appearances against lefties. Mike Yastrzemski is 0.067. This is a joke. This is a terrible lineup. He might strike out 1 billion dudes. First time ever that someone struck out 1 billion guys in a game.
Might happen, but either way, we like Sanchez to do well here. I looked at his numbers against the Giants too. 2 career starts, 4 hits in both. Yeah. So 6 does feel pretty high. Anyway, before we get into the other props that we have for the show, reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Circa Millions Circa Survivor, because they're still hosting the contests for, of course, Circa Millions and Circa Survivor for football. $21 million in guaranteed prizes. There's no rakes. If the entries go above the guarantee, you'll get the extra money added to the prize pool. Circa Million, you pick 5 teams ATS each week, go for the Ultimate Sweat Circa Survivor, or enter the Circa Grandissimo for $100,000 Circa contest for Survivor. A reminder, you must register in person at Circa Sportsbook in Nevada. And a reminder, you can always sign up in Nevada, play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com, use code SGP, you get $50 off your proxy fees. We're also brought to you by MyBookie. Whose bookie?
MyBookie.
MyBookie is a place for every sport. They have the MLB cards, they have WNBA, they have golf, they have UFC, they have tennis, football futures, etc. Also use it on locations, use crypto for fast payouts, use a deposit and sign up for an account. Use code SGPN, get a 100% match up to 1K. Terms and conditions MyBookie, the G promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. One of the first couple of props for the show on Monday. Time to keep rolling with my second prop for the show. I'm going to go with another under. It's a guy who has really not gone much distance recently, and we are going to fade him once again. Give me Richard Fitz. Give me Dick Fitz under 15.5
outs Fitz
at minus 113. He's had less than 16 outs in 5 straight starts. He's had less than 13 outs in each of the last 2 starts. I believe there was a rain shortage, which caused him a rain-shortened, I'd say, outing for him. The point is, though, he's really not going distance at all anyway. I get the Rockies are a really bad offense. I understand it. But Fitz has gone, once again, less than 16 in 5 straight. Bayo's going tomorrow. Bayo can go distance as well.
Or he could weirdly not, and they pull him at 75 like they did with us before.
He could, but the point is that so Bayo weird. Can typically go about 6. So no, I don't know.
I agree.
I think 15.5 at minus 113 does feel pretty affordable. Even if Fitz goes decently, he kind of nibbles. The Rockies can maybe chain together some hits, because we know Fitz does give up some contact. But I think the price is not that bad at minus 113 for a guy that has gone under this number in 5 straight. It just feels like expecting the Rockies to be that bad that Fitz just breezes through 5+ innings and ends up at 16 or 17 outs. I think it's, once again, just a pitcher that I'd rather take the under on and dare him to go length, which he hasn't really done. So give me Fitz under 15.5 outs at minus 113.
Chris Murphy's back too, right?
Chris Bryant, you mean?
No, Chris Murphy, who's he is a Red Sox. He did. He pitched on Wednesday. So Chris Murphy's a long reliever, and would be his scheduled day to pitch today. He's coming back from injury, so yeah, I like it. Overall, I mean, he's not stretched out like that. So all their long relievers, by the way, are available.
Yeah.
So since they used all high leverage,
they dominated against the Nationals.
Why did they use all the high leverage guys yesterday?
Because they hadn't pitched in a while. I don't know.
That was really weird. I don't know. Actually, but that being said, this is a great week for the Red Sox, in my opinion. They just swept the team. They all got to meet Trump, so they're all pretty stoked.
They also, coincidence? They all started hitting again and they met Trump. I don't know.
Brandon,
coincidence?
We got it. Just everyone mark your calendar. State of the Union. We're all taking Brandon Nimmo the next day. So I know games aren't in January, guys, but that's the joke. They're above 500 and they get to host the Rockies at home going into the break. Like they're in a good position. And then the Rays, who are kind of all over the place right now. So
they won the game yesterday, but that bullpen's been falling apart for Tampa.
Dude, but that game and the Tigers
a walk-off bunt
was awesome.
Yeah, the Tigers
didn't get a no-hit. They didn't get a DP.
Yeah, the Tigers over was a mess. That was
awesome. I had that late. I didn't tell you because you were.
They had one hit in the entire game.
But like the fact that hit, we won the under. We got the under on the hits because you and I had 16.5 under hits, and they still won on the over runs. It was
Tigers had one hit. Tigers had one hit in 9 innings, and they somehow went to extras and scored 6 runs in the 10th inning. Which was just crazy stuff.
Fantastic.
It was. But point is, for this game, I think Fitz at 15.5. Yes, they might let him labor through to try to save bullpen arms, but they don't need to because the offense is mashing and they didn't use any long relievers yesterday. So I think it's a pretty generous price.
I like
it. So give me the under on Fitz for his outs at 15.5. Anyway, I'm moving on to your third prop for the show. What do you like?
All right, this is a little bit. I'm very excited about this cap. This is Jacob deGrom under 17.5 outs at plus 145. I like it to plus 130. I probably like it to plus 125. Here's my cap on this. So Jacob deGrom they commented on the cap. He's named an all-star. They commented on this on the game last night against the Padres. The last time when he was an all-star and healthy enough to go to the all-star game, his kids were too young to go. And he wasn't able to wasn't able to pitch in it. He's very, very excited about being able to bring his kids and being able to pitch in front of them in an all-star game because he has not been able to do that.
They shortened the workload to let him pitch in the all-star game?
Yeah, but see, let me get to the point, man. So because it's a cascading effect on a couple things. He's on a very strict pitch count. It's was 82 in all of June. It's very clearly up into the 92 here in July. His last start was 92. If you take out 15 pitches that he has today and apply them, actually save them for the All-Star game, he could still go 92 on Saturday against Fromber, which is an infinitely more important game for him to be going a little bit of distance and going full workload because that team is in front of them in the standings and they can pick up pace on them. Doesn't really matter about the Angels. If you don't care about any of that, you're like, Berg, I don't care about they're going to save him so that he can do this stuff. That's fine. Then the only things that I would tell you then is that over the last 20 games against right-handed pitching, there are 3 starters that have gone over their outs against the Angels. So even if you think my cap is bullshit, which it isn't, it's still not happening because the Angels against righties are just basically working counts enough that guys aren't making it to 18.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I like the price. Yeah. So a couple ways to get there too. Moving on to my final prop for the show. I'm going to go with a speedster who got demoted for some reason, but got brought back up, and he's been good ever since. Give me Chandler Simpson over 1.5 HRR at minus 130. He's been really good lately. He's had at least 2 HRR in 6 of his last 8 games. He's actually been on a pretty good hits run. He's had at least 1 hit in 17 of his last 19 games. Main reason is because any ground ball is safe at first base. He's Willie Mays Hayes in Major League One. But you're looking at Chandler Simpson, who's in a good spot to do some damage here. 1+ hit in 17 of 19. He steals bases. He's a great base runner in general. And Flaherty's pitching for Detroit, who's been really bad lately. Last 4 starts, 18 innings pitched, 21 hits allowed, 21 earned runs. So I do think the Rays can do some damage against him because Flaherty's been getting shelled for the last couple weeks. But you're looking at Simpson, who's been good over this number in 6 of the last 8, a hit plus in 17 of 19, and Flaherty's been a mess. Give me Simpson over 1.5 HRR at minus 130. So give me a speedster who, if he's on first base, he's run. So I think that's a good opportunity. There you go.
I'm seeing some comments, some questions on a couple things. So Benedict was commenting, if the Yankees miss the playoffs, can Judge get MVP? How can Judge get MVP? The Yankees aren't missing the playoffs. The Yankees are winning that division, but that's for another day.
You're a lot more confident in the division than I am, but they will make the playoffs.
I'm more confident in the fact that team will buy at the lengths that that team. We have seen worse Yankees teams win AL pennants. Mm-hmm. So that the thing is that they're going to buy what they're going to buy to stay afloat. Last year they had a critically bad stretch, and the O's still didn't win the division. They still won the division.
Yeah,
they're going to win that division. They are going to make the playoffs. But then again, you and I have the Jays at 40-1 to win the AL, which cool. Let's do it. And but neither here nor there. Red Sox to make the playoffs at plus 225. I don't know. It's tough. I'd rather bet their ceiling because a lot of these teams, it's not. I don't want to paper cut myself to make the playoffs at a good price. If they make the playoffs, I actually like them in a 3-person rotation. Like a lot of these teams do. I like their 3-man rotation to do this. I would like the Red Sox 3-man rotation in that because they probably get they might make a deadline maneuver. They'll have they'll have Bayo, they'll have Crochet. I kind of like it. So I would rather bet them at longer odds to make it to the LCS, which is probably in like the 50-1s kind of thing, than just them to make the playoffs. I'd like them to win 2 series if something happens. They have a tremendous home field advantage.
Yeah, that's true, too. I do think that looking at the AL East, you can argue that there are a bunch of teams that should be in the hunt for a playoff spot, except for Baltimore. But in reality, I think you make an argument that Toronto is going to be fine. Tampa, that bullpen is really problematic. Like Tampa, if I was going to pick one of those teams that would fall out so Boston could jump in, I actually don't mind Toronto. Toronto's actually kind of impressed me recently, but Tampa's bullpen has been such a catastrophe that I think they are also sellers constantly at the deadline. They will never buy.
Well, they're playing a data game. Well, dude, Rasmussen is now going to be basically a glorified opener the rest of the season. They
Pretty
said
much.
that, like yesterday, they said they're like, he's already at 90 innings and we can't risk it. He's on a hard 150 inning cap. So if you're waiting for the playoffs, you have to save 10, 12 there. So now he's at 138. He's already at 90, meaning he's only going to be pitching 2 to 4 innings per start. So
the problem I have with Tampa is that I view them as an unserious franchise.
I feel that I completely agree.
Even if they are in contention for a playoff spot and beyond, the mindset of the franchise is always to maximize value by flipping players and doing everything for the long term without ever actually cashing in on the chips. That's how they just play. That's how they, I say, make decisions in the front office. So if you're asking which team I think will fall apart, Tampa makes sense because I can see them trading a bunch of people because they never buy the deadline. They always try to avoid paying players a lot of money. The one time they did pay a guy, he went to jail, and I believe he's overseas in jail right now with Wander Franco. So I don't really see the Rays being serious ever when it comes to making that push to get over the hump in a competitive wild card race. Yeah, I think Tampa falls out.
I think there's it. They actually closed the season. Tampa and Toronto closed the season against each other. Toronto has a very, very good September schedule. The other thing is about all of it is like, if you're going to bet a team to make the playoffs, it's better to do it in the AL. It's better to do it with one of those AL East teams because they're all stacking on top of each other. And so when they beat them, they can climb up easier versus like Kansas City, who needs like a lot of help because them beating up on the White Sox or beating up on teams in their division isn't going to help. Whereas all the divisional schedules within the AL East, you can move rankings. So yeah. But
I wanted to mention that if you're asking me which team I think would fall out for a hypothetical Boston push
I agree with that.
to make it
I agree with that.
I think it'd be Tampa.
I completely agree.
So there we go. I do want to ask you though, because we just talked about it. Do you think Toronto can actually pull this off, or do you think they're going to regress at some point?
No, I think that they're a playoff team.
I think they are too.
I think they're a playoff team. I think that they got young. Like people forget, like last year when they sold off everybody, all their young guys hit.
Yeah.
And it's so. I think that they are a solid young team. We haven't even gotten the best of Vlad.
The rotation's not that bad too. They got a couple of pretty good starters.
And like, look, man, I'll take Max Scherzer as my third playoff starter in a playoff rotation on low innings. I will 100% do that.
He'd be third. He'd be fourth, right?
I would imagine
you got Berrios, Gausman, and Bassett. And
I'd imagine the three man would be Bassett, Gausman, and Max. You want Berrios versus Max?
Berrios has to be. He's been their best pitcher for the last couple of months. I think he's got to be.
I don't know. Well, maybe. I mean, look, it's the Ranger Suarez issue.
I think for the sake.
I don't think that they're paying. They didn't pay Max Scherzer though to not be a pitcher for them.
I think Scherzer would be the fourth starter who'd go like 4+, try to stay out of trouble, and we'll keep you in.
Yeah, I think it's going to be similar to what they did with the Rangers did with him, where he killed his body.
Listen, we're going to throw you out there, but please don't die. That's basically the argument they're going to use. So I think Scherzer would be the four, personally.
He's still he's older and his velo's down, but he's never been a velo guy. I like their rotation. I like their bullpen. Everything on them. Last year they had the worst bullpen in the majors, and they were terrible in one-run games. Like something had to give.
And now they're really good in one-run games.
And they're really good in one-run games too.
And even Springer's also alive, and he's been pretty good lately.
Yeah, Springer was hurt all of last year.
Yeah, he's always hurt. So it's actually
and also like if they don't trade Dalton Varsho, if he stops running into walls.
Yeah, he really tries his hardest to cosplay as Kevin Pillar.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
He really tries his hardest with that Blue Jays team, just slamming into walls. But yeah. So anyway, that's my thoughts on Toronto. I think you could argue that Berrios might actually be a game one starter for a series, but who knows?
Probably.
You might, because Gausman's been pretty. It depends if they're home or not, because Gausman's home road splits we talk about every year. They would probably manufacture Gausman getting a home game, if I had to guess.
Yeah, well, if they're not, so they wouldn't, unless they're the 4, they're not hosting a wild card play.
I'm saying in theory they could win the division, which would get them a home game.
Sure, I don't think that I know right, in theory. I don't think that's happening. Yeah, I would probably do Berrios because the thing is that then I guess what it comes down to is who do you want pitching Game 7?
I'm saying I think they'll switch the order depending on if they're home or away in the series. But if you wanted my prediction for a series rotation, I'd go Berrios, I'd go Gausman, I'd go Bassett, and then I'd probably go Scherzer 4 with an extremely short leash on Scherzer at 4.
Which is fine. You have the bullpen to do that.
Yeah, so that would be my, once again, thoughts on that. Anyway, I do want to ask you, though, do you have any miscellaneous props you want to share?
Yeah, I may. Let me just look, guys. I haven't really looked at these one here. The Reds have been a DP machine. Let's see. We're looking at DPs, guys. We're looking for DPs. And no, these guys aren't it. Let's see. We don't have a lot of great DP targets today. Let's see. Are the Mariners playing today? No. Nope. Mariners are not playing today. Probably, and Detroit just doesn't hit into them. Might be. Are we gonna have to do Flaherty as one? Let's see. I mean, look, the reality is that you should take Christopher Sanchez and that team to do it. Like, it should be the Phillies. But the issue I have is that I think he's going to strike out just everybody on that. I don't think a lot of guys are going to get on base. Let me see about Toronto. Hold on. Toronto's playing today too. As we talk about this, we just talked about it. Who's pitching? Berrios. Let's see Berrios on this one, because the White Sox have been. Do the White Sox hit into them over the last 7 days? Let's see. Last 7 days, White Sox haven't really hit into them. I don't know, man. I think that the only one that I like, and I'll look at the price, is going to be that Phillies one, but it probably isn't the greatest price. Is the problem. So Tanner Bibby, Shane Baez. Oh wait, Kikuchi against the Rangers. Kikuchi can do that very well. Let's see what the Angels one is. Hold on 1 second. The problem is a lot of these teams just don't hit into them, because for a DP, you need like base runners. You need a lot of things to happen. Let's see. The Angels to turn a double play is -115. And let's look. Have the Rangers been hitting into them? They are, I think, dead last. Nope, they've been doing a couple of them. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I don't know. Have you been thinking about DPs a lot lately, or look, this Rockies team is does nothing. Oh, you know what? Maybe
Fitz does pitch to contact, so that actually.
And let's do this. Let's do this Rockies team is like a Let's do the Red Sox. Let's look at the double play here. It's even money. Red Sox to turn a double play against the Rockies. Let's do it.
All right.
Because especially since all their high leverage flamethrowing guys got used yesterday, so we're assuming that they're going to have to get creative in here. So let's do the Red Sox to turn a double play, and the Jays love to hit. Like, the Jays hit into them. Remind me again, who did the White Sox play this weekend?
But the Rockies.
Yeah, the Rockies. That's why. Yeah. So let's just do. So there you go. So that proves the point. Red Sox, even money. That's our DP.
All right, there you go. Anyway, before we get into the actual best bets for the show, reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, because they're doing Best Ball Mania, which is happening all summer long. Give away $15 million in prizes, including $2 million for first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best ball is the best way to play fantasy football. And a reminder, you can also use it for pick'em. So don't forget to check out Underdog when you sign up, though. For a new account, use the code MLB SGPN. Get a special pick in first time deposit offer up to $1K in bonus cash. Fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also about to our rhythm, because they are still using their brand new feature, Power Trends, which are added to patterns, which can help you make a lot of money. And a reminder, you can also use them every day. They're updated every day. No touts, just great overall picks. Download the app, check out Power Trends, start betting smarter. And a reminder, also try it out for free for a week. But you can send a free trial, go to sportsgaming.com to get your 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Finish going through our props for the show. Time to move on into the best bets. Adam, what's going to be your best bet for the show? I'm going to guess Sanchez.
Yeah, Sanchez. Okay. Sanchez under 5.5.
All right, there we go. For my best bet, You know what? I'm going to actually go with Fitz. I'll take the Fitz under 15.5 outs at -113. Maybe a bit of faith in the Rockies offense for no reason, but no, not really. It's mainly based on Fitz, who just has not gone distance at all. He's at less than 16 outs in 5 straight, less than 13 outs in 2 straight. Bayo's pitching tomorrow. You mentioned the Red Sox smashing the Nationals over the weekend. They got to preserve all the long reliever arms in that series. I just don't really understand why the price is so cheap at -113. Fitz, even if he goes well, might go 5. They might pull him early at like 70, 80 pitches. He's not a guy that goes much distance ever. The Rockies could maybe do some damage against him. But the fact is, he's barely gone distance for about a month straight. Came off the IL, or he got demoted recently, came back, and he still hasn't gone any distance. So I don't know why they'd stretch him out and let him go 16-plus outs here. Give me Fitz under 15.5 outs at -113 as my best bet. Think that should be closer to -135 in my opinion. I think that price is way too cheap at -113. So I'll take that.
I like the so depending on, I guess I can get behind the White Sox on the double play. It's -140, so it's more of a parlay piece. I want to get there with Philly with a Philly DP, but like I said, I just don't even know if they make any contact in this game. It's just not it's not a good DP situation for them. And what is it? It's it's only -110, and he's usually -150. So they kind of are seeing what we're seeing.
All right,
there
we go.
Let's see. Are we up to building?
Yes, we are. We're up to Underdog.
Okay, cool. Ooh, Cam York signed a 5-year deal for the Flyers for $26 million. Good for him.
Your team doesn't have many good players, but he's fine.
He is, except Torts kind of ruined him.
Correct. Well, Torts ruined a bunch of people. So
he does do that. Okay. All right. I'm pulling it up. What do you like?
I'm going to ask you what you have ready for our 6.
I want to take Sanchez K's.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, got that. What else?
Do you want to recycle anything with Fitz or anything with anybody else?
No, but you want me to look at some power trends? They've been smacking.
Yeah, we can do that. That's fine.
Agustin Ramirez under 1.5 total bases. He stinks. I love him.
Yeah, it's been a great fade. Classic young player having a monster first month and then immediately struggling when they start actually scouting him.
Yep. What's even worse is that Cabrera got better about holding base runners too. So this guy who stinks at all that couldn't even get us there on this stuff. I think
Milwaukee stole 2 or 3 bases yesterday against Cabrera and him. I saw Yelich had one. I forgot who else had one. But
hang on, why is this player Agustin? Are they really going to make me do it with the accent? Jesus, fine. Agustin Ramirez not coming up. Why?
Okay.
Is he not? Does he not exist in for MLB? There's Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is on there, and I don't care about him.
He's been bad too, to be fair.
What is he? Is Sam Haggerty? Oh, Sam. How about this? How about Sam Haggerty? Lower total bases. That's the one that's on here that we -200, and he stinks too. Let's see. Yeah, there's him. Tyler Freeman. They love to fade. I love fading Tyler Freeman. You want to do that?
We can. I have a plus money play that could be intriguing.
Yeah, give me that.
I don't mind Paredes 1.5 bases. He's been mashing lately. He's had 2+ bases in 5 straight. It's actually been really good.
Against BB?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this then. Yisak Paredes, higher 1.5 total bases.
If you agree with that one, because Bibby's allowed 5+ runs in 2 of the last 3 starts. He's been kind of a
well. I don't care about his runs. We care about his contact.
No, but the point is, I'm saying that he is giving up a decent amount of damage lately.
Let's see. His last 3 starts. Well, his expected ERA in his last 3 starts is a lot better.
Okay. Do you want to go for something else? I'm just throwing.
Let's see if there's. Do you want to fade? This is kind of, let's see, last 3 starts. Let's see who's got a really bad expected ERA.
We can go for Rafaela if you want to. Who's been really good for Boston. Guys had over 2 bases in 7 of the last 8. He's against who's it? Gomber today.
Yeah, Gomber's terrible.
He got the wall out there in Fenway. Could be an easy double off the wall against Gomber.
Let me see. Who would I take? The guy who's been best against lefties lately. Romy, who's also been killing the ball, and Rafaela, Romy. Trevor Story's been mashing the ball.
Story, I had him on YouTube a couple days ago. Yeah, we can go with Story. He's been very
Let's do that. Okay, so let me take out Isak and let's put on Story. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so here's what we got. Trevor Story, higher 1.5 total bases. Sam Haggerty, lower 1.5 total bases. Christopher Sanchez, higher 5.5 strikeouts. A 4.51. Nice little baby one that we got here.
Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
That's fine.
All right, pressing, putting us in for 25 each.
Okay, there we go. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the show. We'll back once again on the prop show on Wednesday. And, of course, we have the MLB show later today, which neither of us will be on, but it's to break down the Tuesday games.
Still good to know.
Just saying. Find me on Twitter, Racial Radio. Find him on Twitter at Rosenberg. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.